Perfect.
I'd say it's pretty close.
Okay.
Hey, Kirsty.
Welcome. Go ahead and get on the chat, guys. Let's get this started off right.
Hey, Molly. Hello,
All right.
Carenza. Trying to keep up with everyone here.
Good stuff.
Welcome to the Weekly Study Abroad show. I'm Ryan.
I'm Tripp.
We'll probably start talking about more details of study abroad in a couple times. Once a few more people get in here, we'll give people a chance to find it on Twitter and all that. But
For sure.
we're here at the University of Winchester. Hello, everyone that's joined. Having trouble keeping up. We're here at the University of Winchester in England. If that wasn't obvious by the location. Hello, CB Kerr.
Hey, Mom. Okay, so yeah, we're here from High Point University. We're going to be in Winchester, studying at the university for 3 months, studying kind of a variety of things because we have general education requirements, as most of you probably know. We're going to knock out a upper level communication kind of cultural studies class. It's called Drugs, Media, and Culture. We're going to do a introduction to Britain and the Americas history course. And then we're going to also have a literature course, which I don't know what the
it's literature, sexuality, and morality.
So
it should be a pretty unique course.
Right.
And I even have an archaeology course that I'm taking, so that'll be an interesting course to take. But we're basically going to use this time to kind of talk about what we've done so far, what we have planned coming up this weekend, because we got a big thing coming this weekend. Just kind of tell you about how studying abroad has kind of been different for us.
Very different, yeah.
And kind of the cultural changes we've had. There's definitely some words that don't exactly match up to some of the U.S. equivalents. The American English versus the British English.
The Queen's English,
the Queen's English,
if you would prefer.
So I guess we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
So we all arrived here last Saturday, September 12th, I believe it was. We all got here to Winchester, kind of got moved in. Moving in was exciting, but difficult, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little bit different setup. It's actually my first time in a university living setting where I have my own room. So that's
same with me.
Good news. KP was there. Thanks for signing off in chat, homegirl. But yeah,
it was also difficult, obviously, because being Americans, and coming over by airplane, obviously, means we couldn't bring that much stuff. So we only could bring really the clothes we have and shoes and stuff like that. So we didn't have bedding. We didn't have hangers. We didn't have kitchen supplies because we all have a kitchen in our room. So we didn't have any of that coming abroad. So we had to basically get it all the day we moved in on top of unpacking everything we had.
Right.
So that was kind of difficult and stressful. And you have to carry everything from in town up to the university, and it's, I'd say, pretty hilly.
Yeah.
That might be putting it lightly. But luckily no one lost any luggage getting here. We all got here safely.
Right.
Which is, it's a huge thing. You can lose luggage pretty easily. Kirsty agrees how hilly it is.
Mm-hmm.
We all experienced it. But then we were all moved in, and we started our kind of cultural tour of England. Basically we were given a week. The first week we were here was basically for us just to tour England.
Mm-hmm.
So we started at...
Let me just go ahead and pull up my topics real quick. My phone shut back down. All right, so the Monday after we arrived was an introduction to Winchester. We'd already been in town doing things like, we visited a pub on our first night to kind of welcome ourselves.
No better way to welcome yourself to British culture probably than going to a pub.
It's accurate.
It's the way to do it.
And so our professor, who's faculty in residence, he's living in Winchester, not currently. He's traveling around right now to Paris and Prague and getting other students settled in Oxford as well. But he was here, and he took us to a pub called Black Boy, or The Black Boy.
The Willow Tree.
Oh, was that the Willow Tree?
We went to the Willow Tree, but
Okay.
a pub nonetheless. It was a pub down in the main town of Winchester, kind of a local hotspot, which is a good way to introduce us, I feel, to the Winchester people and how the Winchester kind of orders. Because even their restaurants are much different than ours. Whereas at a pub, we either wait to be seated or you seat yourself and then you wait to be waited on. In most UK pubs, you just find your own seat and you go up to the bar to order your drinks and your food. and then you tell them where you're sitting, and they bring it to you eventually. But they don't wait on you at the table as far as ordering at the table.
Right.
Which takes a lot of getting used to, because as Americans, we're so used to either waiting to be seated at the door, not walking to a table, or just waiting to be ordered, waiting to get someone to take your order at the table. It makes it really difficult adapting to that.
Very accurate. So Monday, after we arrived, was a tour of Winchester.
Beautiful city.
Right.
Beautiful city. It is your
city.
quintessential British small town.
It is the old capital of England. I don't know how long ago necessarily, but there is still some old army barracks and things along those lines that you can see, which is very cool.
And sorry if the connection's not great. Apparently, we're using school Wi-Fi,
Right.
so it's kind of difficult. We'll try to maybe fix that in the future. Try to find a way around it, but try to bear with us on that. Just keep it updated in the chat if it's like really, really bad. I guess there's nothing we can really do about it.
Yeah.
But we apologize
Hang
for
in
that.
there.
Yeah.
We'll work on that. Okay. Monday in Winchester, we saw one thing that I thought was very interesting was they have King Arthur's Round Table hanging in one of their cathedrals, or maybe it was a castle.
It was in the old Winchester Castle. It's the only remaining part of the Winchester Castle.
That's right.
So it's kind of all set up in there, and it's where they believe that he had his
Knights of the Round Table.
Knights of the Round Table.
Hello, Ellen. Welcome. We walked around Winchester College, which brings up another point.
So they do schooling a lot differently than we do in the States. So colleges and universities are kind of interchangeable for us in the States. Here, that's really not the case. College to them is somewhere they go basically when they're around 15, 16, 17. So kind of be like our high school. And then they go to university, which is completely separate from college, for their 3 years. They only do 3 years of university, and they're taking very specialized classes. You know, if they're here to study journalism like I am, they are only taking journalism classes. Whereas at least at a liberal arts school where we go in North Carolina, you take a wide range of anywhere classes. You're taking anything from history to da-da-da. Even if you're a journalism major, you're taking everything. So that's a lot different, and they can do it in 3 years. So they don't. Some of them don't start even though till they're 20. Sometimes they'll take a gap year off to go work or do something like that. So that's really different than us. But the Winchester College was beautiful.
Great.
Absolutely beautiful.
And also going more into kind of the different terminology is that Winchester College they would call a public school, which, you know, to us in the States is the schools that our tax money funds.
State-funded schools.
Right. But their public school is what we would consider a private school. So it's a very nice institution. We got there right around the time that all of them were practicing football.
Yeah, which football is soccer here, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
To make that distinction there.
And so there was people from like all different ages, probably as young as 10 or
11,
younger.
Yeah, maybe even younger than that.
And all the way up to 16 practicing foosball. So
not everyone knows, Ellen, that football is soccer. And we also got to see Winchester Cathedral, which doesn't probably mean a lot to anyone really our age, but to your parents or older, it means a lot. There was a song about it. I don't know the song at all, but there was a song about Winchester Cathedral that kind of put it on the map. It's a beautiful cathedral. I've had the chance to go in.
Your sister's just torn up, man.
I had the chance to go in, and it was beautiful, and they haven't had a chance to go in yet, but I'm sure we will this semester at some point.
Yeah.
But so Winchester's a beautiful city. So that kind of wrapped up Monday. And Tuesday, my mom loves to sing the song, so I don't know where she's at. And on Tuesday, we got to go to the always beautiful Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, absolutely. It was about as kind of like majestic and as you would think from seeing pictures. Okay, KP, relax. This is for school after all. So
yeah, and
I hope Sharice sees that you said that. I hope you feel good about yourself. It was very cool. They had a little phone kind of thing. It almost looked like a cell phone walking around, maybe like a 90s big brick kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you hold it up to your ear and you type in numbers and different audio cues come up and
gives you the whole history of Stonehenge.
Right.
But we were really lucky in the fact that we had one of the most like beautiful days to probably go. Weather in England is pretty much, if it's not raining when you look out the window, it probably will be raining at some point.
That's fair.
Basically.
Yeah.
So we were blessed though to have like absolutely perfect sun, a couple clouds, didn't make it too hot, and it was great. And then as we were leaving, it started raining, but by that point, it wasn't too big of a deal. So yeah, if you ever get the chance to go to Stonehenge, obviously go. And go to our Facebook page, our Facebook pages and Instagrams, and you can see pictures of kind of all the places we've been.
Right.
So that's pretty much all we did on Tuesday with Stonehenge. It's a long thing to walk around. Well, it's not that big, but it takes a while to get all the history of it, obviously. So that kind of took that whole day, and then we ended up finishing at a pub, I believe.
Yeah.
As most places, as most tours do, you always end up at a pub somehow.
I did like the two of the audio cues that really stuck with me though, where there was one about a certain rock that they had been calling, was it, what is it called? Not sacrifice rock, but something along those lines, because they believe that Druids, which is like very ancient British priests, the sacrifice rock, the very old British priests known as Druids would sacrifice people there, which they said there wasn't any evidence for that, but I kind of like that theory.
It's hard to not believe that also, because it leads itself to believe that.
And then they also had an audio cue about how it was probably a place for healing as well. So wealthy people would go there specifically to be around the big, beautiful, majestic rocks and heal that way.
And there were special rocks that were supposedly used for healing, they believe. So there's kind of the light and dark of it there.
Yeah, that's true.
Feel free to keep asking us questions. If you have any questions about anything we're talking about, keep them serious questions. But feel free to ask them. We'll try to read them. And again, I apologize if the connection stinks. I see people joining and rejoining. So, sorry.
Okay. On Wednesday, we went to the city of Bath. Pretty close to Winchester, from what I understand.
Yeah, only about a 45-minute drive, maybe, something like
that. And we did a tour, similarly with the kind of old-looking cell phone headsets of the Roman baths. Whenever the Romans came across the...
Thank you, Molly. Agreed. Bath is great. It was a great time.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. Really cool history.
And so they talked about all the different emperors that may have visited there. They had statues of all the emperors, as well as some of the actual old baths still intact that they discovered probably a few decades back or so.
Yeah, and it's basically like there's a hot spring below the ground where the Roman baths are located, and that's how they were used. Obviously, they had hot baths, they had cold baths. So yeah, they just kind of used them for that matter, and it was just really cool to it's hard to put into perspective that these things were used so long ago, especially in the States where our history is only
300 years.
Yeah, if that even. Our history's not that long, and here they have such a longer history. Charisse joined. Hi, Charisse. Good to have you in here.
I think Ellen's hoping that she sees it on the playback.
True,
So.
but well, hi, Charisse.
Hello, Charisse.
So that was Wednesday. Bath was absolutely beautiful. Another really quaint, cute little British town that hopefully we're going to try to go back to at some point. But so now brings us to probably it was easily our longest day of touring.
I think so.
As far as city touring, London. The probably most the place everyone knows, everyone wants to go. For me, it was not my first time being in London. I'd been there a couple times prior, but for you, it was your first time. It was my first time,
yeah.
So first impressions?
It's very cool. I think I enjoyed even more than most of the things that we considered touristy that we did. So we did Buckingham Palace, or we walked to Buckingham Palace. Walked to pretty close to Big Ben, Massive Benjamin, as I like to call him. The London Eye we saw. God, we're just getting trolled in our own chat.
Yeah, my favorite day was personally a day we haven't got to yet, so we'll get there in a second. But yes, I have been to London before. Thanks, Molly.
And we used the Underground as well.
Yeah, which the London Underground, or the Tube, as it's kind of appropriately called here, is a really cool subway. It moves like way faster than any subways we have in our country, which is really cool. Like your ears actually like pop
Yeah.
when it's running, but it was really cool and gets you from one area of London to another area of London really easy. And we went to Greenwich, London, and did a museum there where we got to stand on the prime meridian, so like 0 latitude.
Yes.
Yeah, 0 latitude. I believe
Longitude.
Longitude.
0 longitude.
0 longitude or 0 longitude. So that was really cool, and that's also where like the time zones begin, basically.
Right.
So everywhere, one way of that point is plus time, and the other direction is minus of Greenwich time, and that's where Greenwich Mean Times come from. Ellen is saying it is latitude.
Is it latitude? Is it long?
Either way,
up and down the earth.
Either way, it was really cool to see that. You got to stand. They have like a line where it supposedly is, and you got to kind of stand on both sides of it, and like say you were on one side of the west and east.
Right.
We don't need to get into a debate about it in the chat, but it was there. So that was really cool. London is just a beautiful city. We're obviously going to be going back. It's only an hour train ride, so it's super easy for us to get there. And it apparently is longitude, so now we have the answer. So then the final day of our like week-long of final day of like our week-long of touring came on Friday, and we did this New Forest, which was just kind of an area of conservation, and then we got to see the English Channel.
Right.
Which was pretty cool. In the Jurassic Coast.
Right.
Which was, yes, it was quite a hike, as Kirsty brought up in the thing. But
especially for Kirsty with a broken toe.
Yeah, but she trumped through it and made it through. But basically the Jurassic Coast is an area that was, I guess, it was mined out, but it still has a lot of the same, that supposedly was there during the Jurassic time. Or time of the dinosaurs. I guess would be the best way I could
I didn't know that.
Describe that. I thought that was why it's called the Jurassic Coast.
That makes sense, but Kirsty broke her toe prior to coming to England.
Yeah. She dropped a table on her foot.
Still did all the walking that we did. So that's,
And it was not an easy walk. It was, we were literally like walking up and around a mountain. It was unreal. But It was beautiful. Again, photos are on Facebook and Instagrams and all that if you want to check them out. But yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. So that was like our week of touring. It was a really great way for us to get acclimated, I guess, to English and getting kind of a feel for the English countryside and a feel for England itself. Obviously, there's a lot more we have to experience.
Right.
But I think in the end, it was definitely, I think it was above and beyond what I thought. Yeah. What was your favorite day, I guess?
Before I go into my favorite day, it was the Jurassic Coast, by the way.
Okay.
I want to give a shout out to John Bentley. He was our tour guide basically the entire week and knew like everything you wanted to know about anything.
Used to be a professor here at the University of Winchester.
Right.
And still teaches occasionally, but now just kind of really does just this for us and is almost a liaison for us even throughout the semester, which is really cool of him and nice of him.
Yeah. Great guy. Used to be what we would call like the chair of the American Studies program. So he also wanted us to look at England through a scope of our own culture and kind of compare and contrast that way, which was, I think, a good way to approach everything.
Yeah.
But from, just looking at the building structures in Winchester and beyond, he could tell you like what era a building was from based on its materials and design, which to me is just a sign of a very learned man.
Really cares about it too. You could tell he really cared about teaching us the stuff. Too. So shout out to John Bentley if you ever watch this.
Great.
Favorite day though?
Definitely Jurassic Coast. Walking up and down the coast was awesome. It was John Bentley for Prime Minister. I would have to agree with you on that one.
Not that we can vote here, but for president maybe, except he's not a citizen of the States. Either way, yeah, Jurassic Coast.
I really enjoyed the just walking up the coast. We did go to an old quarry that they don't use anymore, but that they used to mine limestone. And you could tell with some of the old remains that they had, an office building there, and everything was just really broken down and interesting. There was also a stone carved out couch on the side that we just kind of sat down and enjoyed the view for a while, which was cool as well. If Ellen gets around to uploading any photos,
you'll see one from that bench.
We could have that picture.
And it was another weather-wise, it was absolutely beautiful for most of the hike as well. So when we were out by the sea,
Right.
it was basically almost perfectly sunny.
Yeah.
I actually got sunburnt from there.
Who's going on?
What's going on?
The Prime Minister. There's actually some drama going on that I haven't researched enough.
Yeah, David
about
Cameron's the Prime
Minister.
Minister. I saw a tweet about it today that there's a scandal. I
Right.
truthfully didn't read it. Maybe next time we'll research it and let you
do a little
know, or Google search.
Right.
But yeah, there is some drama with the Prime Minister. I think this is his final year, or he's coming up to the end of his term. I think he's been in term for almost 8 years now. So they will probably be getting a new Prime Minister here eventually.
That's what it was. Something about
Okay.
putting his dick in a pig. Also, okay.
Okay.
I think that there was something having to do with crack.
Yeah, something like that. Either way,
So,
there is drama there.
A lot
but-
of scandal surrounding the
And-
Prime Minister.
And then back to the Jurassic Coast day, I forgot to mention this and forgot about it. We ended our day. Well, first we ended at a pub, and then we went from the pub to a place called Swanage. Hi, Mom. Saw you just joined. Hi, Mom. We went to a city called Swanage. I believe it was Swanage.
Right.
And we had fish and chips by the sea, which might be the most British thing ever.
Yeah.
And you don't even it's British. It's fish and chips, but you don't even get you don't get silverware. You have to eat it with your hand, and you get fish and then chips are obviously fries. If that wasn't obvious, it might not have been to everyone. And you get mushy peas is the other thing.
Right.
Yes, I did eat fish and chips, and I really liked it. I eat fish now.
For me, the chips are incomplete without the salt and vinegar that they provide.
True. I didn't do the
Yes.
vinegar. I just did the salt.
Pretty great stuff. And Swanage was basically a seaside holiday town. That's really all it. Basically, it can be deserted if you're not
in season.
Right. So it's kind of getting to the end of the summer, so it's not the most popular, but also apparently they don't get in the ocean too much. Maybe they'll just hop in for the day when they get warm, but
Water's always pretty much cold here.
right, it's freezing. So.
Whereas the East Coast gets some warm water.
Hello,
Mom.
Mrs. Anderson.
So yeah, that was pretty much our week of traveling. It was really nice. Our grand total of the amount we walked, in case anyone is curious, was 102,000 steps over the 5 days and 55 miles.
Right.
So it was it was a lot of walking over 5 days. It was, I guess that averages around 10 miles a day almost.
Yeah.
Almost 20,000 steps a day as well. So it was quite a bit of walking. We were all pretty exhausted on Saturday and Sunday. We pretty much just slept the whole time. But I guess today was the first day of classes.
It was, yes.
Which feels weird that we're finally, I guess we're finally in class.
We're actually students.
We're actually students.
All of a sudden.
Which I know a lot of the people that have read my blog, I think were starting to wonder if I was ever going to be in classes.
Nope.
Considering I had just kind of traveled. I did a cruise and I did the London trip, so I think no. But we had class. So we actually had the exact same class today. Drugs, media, and culture. Pretty cool class seeming so
Very
far.
interesting, yeah.
And then we obviously have classes on Tuesday. Actually, they don't really do classes on Wednesday here. I don't really know anyone that has a class on Wednesday, and everyone says it pretty much is a day off.
Yeah.
Midweek.
Which is great.
Yeah, it's a nice little midweek break, which I'm fine with. But then we have some big news for this weekend that we just
We're
planned.
Headed up to I always pronounce it Edinburgh, but it's Edinburgh, isn't it?
Edinburgh, Scotland. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll be heading up there on Friday to Sunday. So we might try to do a live stream up there. Yeah, Wednesdays are a common thing, I think, to have off in Europe just because it's a middle of the week break. But yeah, so we're heading up to Edinburgh. Edinburgh is a community that has the Elephant House. I'll have to ask you about that, Molly, because I don't really know what it is. But it has Edinburgh Castle, which is really famous. Like Princess Street, I think, and Georgia Street. So we're staying in a hostel there. It's our first trip by ourselves.
Right. No John Bentley included, which we'll miss him, but...
Oh, Harry Potter was written there.
Oh, okay.
Right, yeah, Elephant House was where Harry Potter was written, so we will definitely be going there because I love Harry Potter, and I think...
We also saw the house where Moby Dick was written in
True.
London.
We saw the house where Jane Austen died, here in Winchester, actually, and she's actually buried in the Winchester Cathedral.
Yeah. Ryan stepped on her grave.
I did step on her grave on accident. It's like there, and you're walking, and you just don't even realize it. And then I was told it was stepped on it. But yeah, so we're pretty excited to go to Edinburgh, using the train system by ourselves for the first time, which will be an adventure.
We should be fine.
We should be fine. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. But yeah, so we'll be in Edinburgh from Friday to Sunday, and then we also planned big plans for Halloween.
Dublin. Should
Ireland.
Be awesome. Right.
Ireland. For anyone watching from Dublin, from Dublin, Ohio, not going to Dublin, Ohio for Halloween, but Dublin, Ireland.
Right.
Because it's pretty close to the UK, obviously. So yeah, those are kind of our big. That's the only 2 trips we have planned so far.
It took us like 6.5 or 7 hours to plan those trips.
Yeah, it was pretty stressful.
Right.
Planning trips for 4 people and trying to get the best deal is not easy.
Can be hard.
Especially trying to balance around. We have class on Thursdays nights, so we can't really leave Thursday night, so we have to leave Friday morning, but we don't want to lose all of Friday. It's really difficult, but we got it done. We're also looking at trips to, let's see, where is Paris, Amsterdam, Cardiff in Wales. That's obviously staying in the UK. Maybe Madrid. We might end up going to Madrid.
I want to go to Madrid.
Spain. Madrid would be pretty cool. And then there's also talk with our program with John Bentley again, going to. We're also planning on going to Copenhagen, maybe
Sweden,
Stockholm,
perhaps.
Sweden,
Yeah.
all those places. But also hopefully with our High Point program, we're going to end up going to Prague for a weekend, which hopefully will be pretty cool. And we're also going to go to Cornwall, England, which I believe is like northern England. I believe it's northern England. I really actually don't know though. But I believe it's in the northern of England. Excuse me, I'm fighting a cold, so we all kind of got sick this first week. I think just with all the lack of sleep and all that.
They may call it the freshers flu. I don't know if we're going to that. You're going to Copenhagen?
We are probably maybe going to Copenhagen. We haven't decided yet, but we may end up going there. But yeah, so another weird kind of thing is, so when we started university or college, we were called freshmen, right? Yeah, freshmen, first years. Here they're called freshers.
They do a whole freshers week to a fortnight, which it's 2 weeks, and it's just a party basically every single night of the week, except for the weekend,
which is very strange,
very backwards to us. We didn't really understand.
Yeah, we were sitting in a pub on Saturday on campus here. Yeah, I believe it was Saturday, and we asked the bartender, so like, what do people do on the weekends here? And her response was sleep.
They sleep. So,
which to us is, comparatively to the States, is
very
backwards. Yeah,
right.
It doesn't make any sense to us. So that's kind of a big adjustment. But yeah, we've got some big plans for, I think, trips coming up.
Definitely.
Next time we'll probably recap Edinburgh. It'll probably be on Monday again next week.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see. We're still working out the kinks. Obviously, this is our first time. So
yeah.
We actually meant to do this show in the pub in the student union, but they have an event going on, and we didn't realize that we would conflict with that. So
yeah, and there also might be some rules
that
we may be breaking or have been breaking or are breaking right now.
Filming on a college campus.
But yeah, so it'll be the same time. Well, we might be moved to the weekends at some point. We might try to move to Sunday just because it might work easier for you guys on the East Coast.
Working
with people working and in classes. So we might try to move it to Sunday, but we'll probably always be at 8 p.m. Just stay tuned to Facebook, Twitter for that. And then if you want to watch this again or you want to share it with your friends, we'll be uploading it, this whole VOD, onto my blog, which is it's really long, so it's probably not worth saying, but it's mysemesterintheuk.wordpress.com. So the whole thing will be there. That whole link will be on Facebook. I'll probably put it on Twitter too if anyone follows me on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are at Ryan19A.
At T to the Rip.
Is that 2 P's? Yeah, 2
P's.
P's. So we hope you guys enjoy this. Hopefully the connection wasn't too bad, but if it was, you can probably watch it later and it'll be better quality. But yeah, I guess any final notes?
I think we're going to sign off. One of the highlights of my trip that I want to shout out is that we were in a pub whenever Japan beat South Africa in rugby.
Which Rugby World Cup is going on right now, we'll just quickly mention, and it's
Right.
taking place actually in England. So that's like a really, really big deal to them here, and they take rugby like
super seriously.
Yeah. So that's been really cool to deal with, but I guess we'll just sign it off there.
See you guys.
Thanks for tuning in.